One.
The bricks have been kissed, history has been made, and there's a new name etched into one of NASCAR's biggest crown jewels. Corey Hiem went toe-to-toe with the sport's best and drove away with the Brickyard 400, proving he's just not the future, he's here right now. We're breaking down all the action from Indianapolis, the biggest winners and losers, and what this means as the road to the chase-offs rolls on. This is Gases on the Right. Let's get into it.
Welcome back, everybody, to Gases on the Right podcast. We want to start out with a quick thank you to our premier partners in the Daily Downforce, as well as Sundial Plumbing. Let's hit it. Indy Brickyard 400, the third crown jewel of the year so far, and quite a little bit of a surprise of a winner. But I guess for you, Dan, it wasn't that much of a surprise, was it?
No, hey, I told you that clock was going to be ticking this weekend, and it actually surprised me too. I didn't expect him to go and actually win it. I figured he'd run pretty decent. Toyotas and 2311 has been pretty good all year, but I really didn't expect him to go and pull the W.
Yeah, quite a surprise, man. But well, before we get too into Corey Himes winning everything, we'll start out with another Joe Gibbs Racing satellite team, as Denny Hamlin would say, Inspire Motorsports, sweeping the front row with Carson Hocevar and Daniel Suarez.
Yeah, the Spire cars had pretty good speed. They from all weekend, and they kind of got shuffled there towards the end through pit strategy, and I think Kosovar finished 9th and Suarez finished 17th or 18th, somewhere back there. And but yeah, Chris Gabehurt's notebook still up to date, I guess you would say.
Yeah, definitely up to date and still full of some good notes. But yeah, Spire swept the front row, man. Just kind of hitting some topics through it. Joe Gibbs Toyota continues their domination right now on anything that's an oval, with Ty Gibbs winning stage one. And then we had some late caution action in stage two, handing the stage win to Ross Chastain, followed by Corey Heim in second for that stage. And then your big winner and his it's his third or fourth start of the year, Corey Heim wins again.
Yeah. He becomes the youngest Brickyard 400 since Jeff Gordon in '94, and now it's won 2 of his first 15 races. He is the first part-time driver to win multiple races in a Cup season since Davey Allison and Tim Richmond did it in 1987.
That is a long time off right there.
Yeah, I mean, can he? Next year, I know a lot can change in a year. Teams will get better over the off season, but he is looking like he is primed to make a run for the 2027 championship. I know this might be an overreaction, but in every race he's raced in, besides his first few, I think he's riding like a 3-race top 10 streak. He got 2 wins. We've seen the success Toyota and 2311 has had this year, so I don't think it's a far stretch to say he might be contending for the championship in his rookie season, and that really says a lot about him.
Yeah, and I mean it's not like a lot of these other young drivers we've seen come up over the past few years, really like the past decade, where they come up and it's just kind of like they absolutely dominate series. Look at Ty Gibbs. Look at how Noah Gragson was. Josh Berry was pretty dominant in a JGR or in a junior motorsports car. Carson Hocevar. These guys come up and then it's like it takes some time to win. He's running a part-time limited schedule. He doesn't even have a full-time ride in any of the 3 national series this year. Yet he's 2 wins in the Cup Series and contending every time he's running in that 67.
I've heard he was on DBC again this week, and I think Freddie Kraft asked him, what do you contribute to your success this year? And he said that the time off between starts, the 2 or 3 weeks between each start, kind of gives him and Booty Barker a chance to go back and watch film, see what they did good, see what they didn't do good, see what they can improve on, and kind of study each track. And he says he calls Denny Hamlin most weeks and kind of gets Denny's perspective on how to run the track and everything. So, so that it's paying off for him. I'm thinking I guess it's not too bad having a mentor in Denny Hamlin either.
Yeah, there's not much better that you could ask for in any of the series when it comes to a mentor and having Denny Hamlin. Probably one of the best to ever do it on ovals. Currently still racing, and I mean having that in your back pocket as your team owner is just what a resource to say the least. I mean,
Yeah.
but yeah, I mean, I think that's a hot take, but I wouldn't disagree with seeing him making a deep chase off run in 2027 and having a chance to contend. So,
Excuse me.
I mean, you got a stat on here where in all 8 races behind the season, he is ahead of the 88 and the 51 in owner points in the standings.
Yeah.
That in of itself is a ridiculous stat.
Yeah, that I guess that just shows you, how bad Connor Zealot has been this year, and Cody Ware, it's Cody Ware, I guess, but this thing, I would really like to see where he would be if he was getting, extra points. He'd probably be right up there with the rest of his 2311 teammates, but I mean, that stat is just wild. When I saw it Sunday, I was like, that's definitely going in our notes.
Yeah, no, that's definitely a wild stat there. But on to some ups and downs from different drivers. We'll start with um, Kyle Larson, man. Just what a fall off the map he's had. He's had finishes of 34th or worse in 3 of the last 4 races.
Yeah, it's been a struggle for that 5 team, which is really weird. Like, it's just um he's the 2-time champion, the reigning champion, but they just not been able. He's ran good, but he just hasn't been able to put it all together and get the finishes that he, I guess, deserves because he's up there, he's running good, but they just can't put it together. I don't know if he's pressing too hard to try to get a win, or just I don't know, driving that car on the razor's edge where because he always says he likes it loose, and if it's just too loose and he just loses it, I don't know, because I've seen him spin out more this year than I think I've seen him spin out his whole Cup career.
Yeah, I mean it's been almost weekly. It feels like at this rate. But I mean it's not just Larson though. HMS in general, man,
Yeah,
they are in a slump for sure. So just to talk about Chase Elliott, it's been 9 races since his last top 10, and we talked about him being Mr. Consistency. That's definitely affected his standings in the points and his points gaps for safety. And then overall, HMS has gone 3 straight Cup races without a top 10 finish.
yeah. It was the first time since 2020, and that was a wild, crazy year. So that could kind of be, I guess, a asterisk there. Their best finish in that span is William Byron's 12th place finish last week at North Wilkesboro. Even then, he was 2 laps down. So just kind of like, man, what is this Chevy body has really thrown Hendrick for a loop. People are saying, look at Spire, they're not having no problems. Well, they may or may not have some help with that, but I just right now I know I listen to Inside the Race with Steve Letarte and our favorite person here, Kyle Petty, and they were debating if Spire's can really this year the flag waiver for Chevrolet, and I say there's an argument for that. They've consistently ran better. They got both drivers have a win, and each week they're pretty much outperforming the Hendrick drivers. Right now, I would have to give the edge to Spire Motorsports as the best Chevy team.
Yeah, no, I would 100% agree with that. Um, just in that span, when you look at that too, I mean, you're looking at William Byron dropped out of the top 10, Kyle Larson sitting in eighth, and Chase Elliott sitting on that bubble of seventh or sixth place and seventh place, where we're talking about that's going to be the gap of where the champion will come from. So, and then obviously Alex Bowman, after his missing some races, he's obviously not in contention for the chase offs. So, but you got your Spire cars in the 77 car sitting fifth place, and then the 7 car sitting in 11th. So, and McDowell
Mhm.
is just a little bit off the bubble, a little bit off the pace there, probably about 80 plus points out in 20th. So I would agree
Yeah,
with
so
that Spire is leading the charge. And I mean, you even saw it. I mean, even McDowell was having a really good run at Indy.
yeah, he was like second or third late until that last caution. They, the different strategies kind of shuffled everything up. He was right up there with them. So, it,
So,
they've obviously either figured it out or they've, maybe there is some truth to JGR's, claims, but, I guess we'll figure that out sooner or later. But right now, the performances, the results are there for them to be the best team in the Chevrolet camp.
yeah. Well, another note, on some up and ups, Josh Berry and the Wood Brothers finished seventh. Wood Brothers' best finish at Indy in the Brickyard. Not really
Yeah.
too much for them to talk about or hoop and holler about, but a top 10 at Indy's not bad.
No, I was kind of surprised that in 30 years, that the seventh place was the Wood Brothers' best finish there. But I I'd say the Wood Brothers running good. It's kind of good for Josh Berry. Maybe this has been a miserable year, and I know this is kind of a lame duck season from here on out. But maybe he can put some good runs together, and because he currently don't have a ride yet, it's that we know of, and this could probably show a team that's in the market for a driver thinking, hey, he's kind of put it together finally, and he's consistently, maybe can start consistently clicking off some good runs and finishes, and end the season on a high note, and maybe that would get him a ride in the Cup Series next year. A lot of people say he's going to be back at in the 4 car, but again, that's not been confirmed or anything. But it's just a
Mm,
lot of the talk on the street.
yeah. Well, hopefully it'll also give him a little bit more stock in the bank. The good thing going for him, though, is we're going to a slew of tracks that really will benefit him with the short tracks coming up, and then, of course, Daytona at the end of August. So that should hopefully, with those slew of races, give him a good opportunity to really jump out and really show out and up that driver stock that he so badly needs to get the shadow of being, for lack of better terms, being at Wood Brothers has created.
Yeah, and talk about somebody else that's had a finally kind of starting to put momentum in the right direction. That's Joe Logano. He with the win last week at North Wilkesboro and follows that up with another top 5 this weekend in Indianapolis, and that's his first. That's the first time that's happened since last fall for the 22 bunch. So they get that win, then seems to be like all the pieces just come together and they start running like you expect the 22 team to. So if and again Logano's got a lot of Logano friendly tracks coming up, so if he
Yep.
can keep the good times rolling, the 22 might be on their way to the playoffs or the chase offs. Just when a few weeks ago it looked like they were probably left for dead.
Yeah, that win, I mean, that tells you how important winning is, and also dominating that as well. But he's now sitting 60 points to the good in 13th in the in the chase off standings. And like we were talking about, 3 of those Hendrick cars that have been struggling are above him. So there's definitely opportunity there to make up some more ground if he just continues on this trend. He's got some friendly tracks, like you said, some Ford friendly tracks and things of that nature coming up. So should see some more good things out of Joey. Should see him still climbing. It's an even number of years, so you can't count him out.
No, kind of like the San Francisco Giants in baseball back when they were winning all those championships. In an even year, you could pretty much pencil the Giants in the World Series, and kind of how it
Yep.
is with Joey Logano here lately.
Well, somebody else has been moving up in the ranks, but just he can't seem to string out a win. Is Christopher Bell? As he scores his sixth runner-up finish in 2026. He's now tied with Terry Labonte for the most runner-up finishes without a win through 22 races all time. Terry Labonte did that in '82. Um, he can get there. He just can't get past him.
Yeah, there's been several times this year where it looked like Chris Ravel was getting ready to sell into, check out and go on. At Nashville, I was there in that one, and it looked like he had that race won. Then late caution there, sets a green white checkered, and Denny Hamlin pounces on him on the backstretch and takes the win in the Music City. So it just, he's just been luck like that for, untimely cautions and just, last lap passes. It's just been he's just been on the doorstep all year, and I really think that they'll get it done eventually. But man, I thought he'd probably I thought he'd visited Victory Lane once or twice by now.
Yeah, and I mean I can't but assume that that's probably super frustrating as well.
Yeah, Carl Larson had kind of a season like that, 2022, where he's just getting all these second place finishes, and finally broke through and got his win, and kind of rolled off 2 or 3 of them after that. So if they could ever knock down the door and get to victory lane, I would figure Bale might roll off a few more before the end of the year. And it's just all about if they could peak at the right time, you never know what happened in the chase off. So they could finally kick down the door and kind of reach their peak as we head into the chase off. It might be a good thing for the 20 bunch.
Yeah, and I mean it works out for him with these short tracks coming up, especially New Hampshire. He's kind of the guy when it comes to that track, and getting him a lobster at Loudon. So I could see that kind of being his starting ground, and then start rattling off after that. And it's the right time to heat up and rattle off those wins. Like you said, you kind of get that monkey off your back of not being able to put the full race together and take the victory. They come a lot easier at times.
Yeah. If we kind of look at another driver, it's kind of like Logano. It's kind of starting to piece some good finishes together. That's old BK, and it could be a little too late because either of these two finishes, he's not really gained a whole lot on Austin Cindric on the cut line. But they have got their first back-to-back top 10 since Vegas and Darlington back in March. So as my favorite driver, I like to see him. Maybe the June slump is over, and June mid July slump might be over, and we're trading in the right direction again. But without a win, I don't really know if he could really make up. I think he's like 51, 52 points still, and it's really hard to make up points against when you're about 50 points back and without a win. And as they're going to Iowa in 2 weeks, and last year he ran really, really well at Iowa. He probably had the best car, and he finished third. So if they can go back to Iowa and outdo Ryan Blaney in the Penske cars and visit Victory Lane, and it's doable. But I really think it's going to take a win. I just don't think he's going to point himself in with top 5 finishes. He's going to need a boost with a win.
Yeah, he's definitely gonna need at least a win boost, like you said. And he's still gonna have to rattle off top fives and top tens in these last 4 races before the chase-offs kick off. Little fun thing coming up about these races, though. We got 2 3 o'clocks and then 2 7 o'clocks. So enjoy some Saturday night racing and some Sunday afternoon racing. But before we get too far in, man, just a couple more drivers we want to hit on. Ty Gibbs locks himself into the chase offs. Also, with a stage one win, has tied Denny Hamlin for the most stage points scored this season. And that shows with him sitting comfortably in fourth place in the chase offs, only 15 points behind Ryan Blaney.
Yeah, he is. Ty Gibbs is. He had that one win at Bristol, but he is consistently knocked off good finishes after good finishes, and he's getting stage points, which is key in this format. And so he's showing that with little luck going his way, that Tyrone might have something for him.
Yeah, he may have something, but Blaney's been on that uptick currently. And of course, congratulations to Denny Hamlin right now, chasing down Tyler Reddick and now starting to spread that gap, 84 points on him, going into the last 4 races of the year.
Yeah, I'm saying Denny's. He's kind of cooled off a little bit. He's not the just
Midsummer,
rolling off
early
wins.
summer.
Yeah, but he's kind of cooled off a little bit. But there's still like we said a couple times this so far. They're sitting him in friendly tracks when we get to the chase offs, and the 11 team even though they're cooled off a little bit, they're still my pick. I think this is Denny Hamlin's year. I thought it was his year last year, but I just think this is the year of Denny.
Yeah,
And
he's looking dangerous. I mean, just in general, we're 22 races into the year. He's got 14 top 10s, 12 top 5s, and 4 wins. So, I mean,
yeah,
absolutely just rocking it out right now.
yeah,
I think the only person that has more wins than him is you and Tyler Reddick.
yeah. This is thankfully I was allowed to have Corey Hiem this week because my driver pick list was not good. So thankfully that one turned around after a couple bad weeks, a couple 25th place finishers or so. I was leaning towards Kyle Larson. I was trying to go for that three races in a row bad streak, but Corey Hiem helped me out there.
Yeah, get off your skid a little bit. But talking about points and improvements, so this year our top 5 improvers so far from 2025 to 2026 in Cup Series points position. Start out with Carson Hocevar, 23rd and 25 to 25th to 5th place this year. Daniel Suarez running 29th in points, now to 11th this year. Ty Gibbs running 19th to 4th in points. Riley Herbst 35th to 25th in points, and Chris Buescher 17th to 9th.
Yeah,
So
right off the top, you see the Spire cars we talked about. That improvement's showing off in the points too. They definitely have upped their game this year. And Riley Herbst, I know we talked about him a few weeks ago. The improvement from year 1 to year 2, it's showing in the point standings as he's improved his position 10 spots. And Chris Buescher was kind of surprising. I did not really realize he was 17th in points last year at this time. But they've been, the model of consistency this year and just kind of riding there in 9th place and just kind of flying under the radar a little bit. So that's really the one that kind of surprises me the most looking at the list there.
yeah, which I mean, Chris Buescher, you go back 2 years when he rattled off 3 wins. I mean, it's kind of one of those things that we're going to start expecting to see that out of him now. Honestly, the
Yeah.
last 2 years have almost seemed like a slump comparatively, especially last year with that 17th. This year we've seen a lot more consistency out of him. Obviously, seeing him running in the top 10 in points and everything. So we'll just have to wait to see what comes after this and what's next up for him.
As we look at her, the last 5 races leading into the off week, average finish wise, it's kind of what we expect. You got Christopher Bell at an even 6th average finish. Ty Gibbs at 6.2. Briscoe with 9.2. Hamlin there in 4th with 9.6. And the surprising one we've talked about already, Joe Logano with 9.8 through the last 5 races leading into the second off week of the season.
Yeah, if there's somebody that needed to be on that list, it's Joey Logano. If he wanted a
Yeah.
chance for the chase offs, and we've seen that come to fruition now with him working his way up well into the standings. But in other news, at Indy, we crowned our in-season challenge $1 million man,
Yeah,
and that
Gill.
was go ahead.
Oh, Todd Gilliland, Gilly for a Millie. He kind of lucked into one when John Hunter Nemechek kind of tucked himself out and did some damage to Ron Blaney and helped Todd out to be able to hold off Ron Blaney, because for most of the day Ron Blaney was up in the top 10 to top 5 to 10, and Todd Gilliland's kind of stuck back there in the 20s. But once John Hunter Nemechek did him a solid, it kind of opened the door for him a little bit.
Yep, opened the door and allowed him to become $1 million richer.
Yeah. I wonder how many Grillo's pickles you can buy with $1 million.
Pretty good amount, especially if you get them at wholesale price, I'd bet.
Probably so.
So, well, I reckon we can move on to some news and discussion. So, just starting out, Rick Hendrick announced on the pre-race that Jimmy Johnson will use the number 48 in his Legacy Motor Club car in the 2027 Daytona 500, which is his final start in the Cup Series, his scheduled final start as a part-time driver in general.
Yes, I was kind of surprised to see that Sunday on they announced that on the pre-race. I figured that Hendrick would give that to Alex Bowman. Since Alex Bowman also announced that 2027 would be it for him too. That'd be his last Daytona 500, and pretty much since he's been in Hendrick Motorsports, most of his time at Hendrick's been in the 48. I know he started out in the 88 car, but
Yeah.
but they've gone. But if you had to ask me, Jimmy Johnson does deserve that. He's 7-time champion, and he earned the right to have that number one last time as his final start. And I think I've heard that Alex Bowman's okay with it, fine with it, Alli's fine with it, and they're going to give Alex Bowman the chance to pick his number for that race. And I kind of like to see the 25 car. Just that's an old Hendrick number, and I kind of like to see the 25 for one race, but we'll see what they pick there.
Yeah, time will tell. Time will tell. Well, Kyle Larson had a little bit of a hot take. Just to start out, we know that Indy, this is the least amount of cautions on the Indy Oval since 2014. Do you have that take from Kyle Larson?
I do. It is right here. Hang on, let me pull it up. This weekend, it's been ever since. I don't think we covered it last week. Dang, forgot the driver now. An Indy car driver last week. I forgot the driver's name actually. Came out and said that they can't stand to watch NASCAR races, cut races, because it's too long and puts them to sleep. So that ever since then, it's kind of be a hot take. Everybody's kind of giving their opinion on cut series racing. Carl Larson was asked about it this week, and Scott Dixon was that driver. I just went blank there for a minute. But anyway, Kyle Larson was asked about it this weekend, and what's his quote. It says, when asked about the length of cut series races, a lot of our cut races are too long. 3 hours is way too long to be racing. So, do you agree or disagree with Mr. Larson there, Alan?
I got two sides to this. My first side, if they're too long, then that's fine. But I better see some Thursday night lights. So,
Yeah.
and at that point, yeah, cut them in half. Give me an hour and a half races. Give me 2 races a week. So give me a 70 race schedule. If they're not too long, well, then we need to run 38 races at 3 hours. But also, on a side note from that, Kyle Larson, I'm sorry, but we talked about his stats earlier, right? So it probably does suck riding around in the car for 3 hours in the back of the pack, couple laps down.
I'd, I'd agree, and I don't think it's a race length problem. I think that these races are, I get that it's hot. I get that it's I get it. It's summertime, and I bet it is brutal in those race cars when it's 9 degrees outside. I guarantee. I bet it's just brutal. But it's been this way for pretty much the whole time NASCAR's been around. You think you'd hear Dale Earnhardt, Richard Petty, Cal Yarborough, those guys, Jeff Gordon. You think you'd hear those guys say, "Yep, our races are too long." No, you wouldn't hear that. You don't. I guess that's how the sport's changed. Or some of these drivers, you can come at me if people want to. I guess they're just soft. We've got soft and can't. It's too short. We need to have it shorter.
Yeah, and here's my other thing. What other major sports plays 1 day a week and plays for 4 hours per event? Football.
Football and baseball used to before the pitch clock. You'd have 3-4 hour baseball game, or baseball's every day, but whatever.
Yeah, well, baseball's down to 2 hours now, but it's more daily.
Yeah.
But football,
Yeah.
you are 4 hours for one game. So, but
Yeah.
you only play once a week. So I would say that if you look at it, that's the standard for a once a week sporting event. So, could you imagine? Because first off, here's the other thing you got to take into account. These tracks aren't in the middle of a city. They're not super easily accessible for everybody. Let's be real about that. I live just outside of Atlanta. I'm literally 30 minutes from being in downtown, and Echo Park Speedway, Atlanta Motor Speedway is an hour from me, hour to an hour and a half in Hampton, Georgia. It is in between Atlanta and Macon, so it's a trip. It's a trek for people. So at that rate, when you're counteracting that, would you want to drive that far for an hour and a half or 2 hour race? So your in-person attendance is going to go down. It's not the race isn't always about the length. Is the TV length a little long? It may seem that way. Commercials may make it that way, but at the end of the day, there is a at track product that you're getting. There's a at track atmosphere and event atmosphere. So when we go to a cup race, Emily and we normally get there. If it's a 3 o'clock race, we're there at 10, 11 o'clock in the morning. We're hanging out,
Same.
seeing people, cooking, walking through the midway, meeting with people, meeting drivers, seeing all the festivities going on, playing the games they have, everything like that. And then we go in, we enjoy our race, we mosey out through the midway again, and then we head home. And it's an all day thing. If you make it a 2 hour race, I think that you're going to lose some of the community side of that in the beginning before the race and all the pre-race, the tailgating and things of that nature, because you're also going to lose people that if why am I going to drive a longer distance than it is for the race to actually take place? It's just not worth it.
Exactly.
So ask anybody at a track, and also we can't. This is a terrible quote to put out post Indy, because Indianapolis Motor Speedway is the absolute worst track on the Cup Series schedule for the Cup car. For the current car configuration we run, that is the worst track for us to run on. It is a single groove, single lane racetrack with a bunch of aero blocking. We did not see any passes inside the top 10 for position outside of restarts.
Yeah. Hadn't had a pass to the lead. I think I saw this stat. The last 2 years that we've been back on the Indy Oval, we've not had a true pass for the lead in Indy's races. I like Indianapolis. I like the prestige. Again, there's other people saying NASCAR don't belong. If you ask me, NASCAR belongs there. It's the center. It is the motorsports capital of the world there.
Mm-hmm.
And I think NASCAR belongs on the Indy Oval. But they got to do something. They got to fix the product because earlier in the week they had NASCAR on the NASCAR Classics channel. They had the older races, and they were good races. They're competitive races. They got to fix something, either the car, the aero package, and make it where it's back to that good racing. And you'll see the fans come back. You look at the film. I know NASCAR was saying 70,000 people there, whatever. Okay, but I know the track's massive. It holds like 200 plus. But it just 70,000 is not gonna make it not look like a good crowd. But it just back in the day they had those. It was a lot more filler. But me as a race fan, I wouldn't want to go and watch that product on Sunday. To be honest, it wasn't the best race ever.
Right.
It was more about pit strategy and stuff like that. And Corey Heim pretty much won the race when he got out front and made the block on Denny Hamlin. It was pretty much over.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, it just, my opinion on Larson is kind of like you. It probably ain't fun running 25th every week and spinning out, more than you have in your Cup career. I'd probably be kind of bitter about 3 hours too. But
Yeah, no, I definitely would
like you
be.
said, I live 45 minutes from, I'm in Gadsden, which is about 45 minutes from Talladega, about 2.5 hours away from Atlanta, and probably about 5 hours from Bristol. And, so I'm with you. If they go and say, okay, we're going to either race to the time, say the race starts at 3 o'clock, we're going to race till it's 4 o'clock or 5:30, and we're going to throw the white flag at 5:29 or whatever. And me as a race fan is not going to make the drive 4 or 5 hours to see that, because you're, like you said, you're literally driving further than you are to see actual entertainment that you paid for to drive to. It just don't make sense. They've already cut practice. I can remember going to the racetrack as a kid, and it would be Friday practice, Saturday qualifying, maybe some more practice. Nowadays, most times we roll to the track and we qualify on that. Then we throw that green flag on Sunday. There might, I know they're going to start getting some practice, and there's only a 50-minute session on Saturday. There is no more Friday. You used to go to the track and hang out on Friday, Saturday, and have the race on Sunday. It's not that way anymore. They've already condensed it, so why would we want to condense it even more and make where your infield campers thinking, well, why am I really going to camp? What am I going to, I'm going to camp to see them run at Talladega, for example. I know y'all did it this year in the spring. I could get there on Friday and you don't really see nothing until Saturday qualifying, then they race. And if they condense the race from 500 miles to 300 or whatever, like you're driving all that way and camping for a whole week for most people to see a 300-mile, race you could, like you see on Saturday. No,
I would
Talladega
pass.
would not be Talladega anymore. And if you look at the infield, the party, the atmosphere will just be nothing to me. And NASCAR would do themselves a great harm if they continue to listen to these drivers. Not all of them won't. Not all of them are in the same boat as Kyle Larson, but if they continue down the road and can actually do something about it, you're only hurting yourself.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, that's all you will do. So, oh man.
I
Well,
just
we're floating into an off week for NASCAR.
that's
So,
a little rest up before the grind of the last four, and then you get the chase offs after that. So it's rest up, kind of see if you can find some speed somewhere. Then better hit the ground running when we get back to Iowa.
yeah. So, well, looking at Iowa, I reckon let's look over some picks here, man. Congratulations again on your win with Corey Heim. You've now almost caught me in overall points standings, and you have passed me in our picks points. So you are first up on the board, buddy.
this week I've been going back and forth, but I think I'm gonna roll with Christopher Bell this week. I just got a feeling that, or excuse me, 2 weeks that second place streak is going to come to an end, and he's going to actually visit Victory Lane in the land of the corn.
Oh, I like that pick. I like that pick. Well, next up is Daniel. He's not available as they have had their little one. Him and his wife welcomed in their baby this past week. So congratulations to Daniel and them. But he had already pre-picked with Austin Cindric for Iowa, taking a Penske there. Next up, we have Emily, who also, she unfortunately is unavailable today. She has not been feeling too well. But for us, the universe makes her pick. So I got the Wheel of Universe here with a couple different names in, and I'm going to spin it and we're going to see what comes out. So for Iowa, Emily is going to be taking, by an inch, Riley Herbst.
Hey, it's not a bad pick. You see, he has been running better this year, so not a bad
Yeah,
pick.
on the up and up. Obviously, we just talked about him. So she's the first one to take him this year. And then I'm going to take my saved pick, who is the winner of last year, one of my favorite drivers in the Cup Series currently, and Ryan Blaney for Iowa.
That might be the winning pick. Blaney's kind of he's been very good in Iowa here lately.
Well, like I said, I have been using some type of strategy this year, and it's definitely paid dividends. Last week hurt a little bit, but we're back in it this week, so we'll run it
Yeah,
back. So
kind
I
of
had to
kind
give
of
you your
jinxed yourself.
flowers. Jinx myself talking
Kind of
about my finishes.
Yeah, you hadn't had last week. I don't know if we did it on air or off. Well, Alan was telling everybody he hadn't finished outside the top 20 since Darlington. Then he goes and has finish outside the top 20. So kind of jinxed himself a little bit there.
Yeah, that was a little bit right in my foot. But hey, it's gonna be all right. We're coming back this week. But I think that's all I have for this week. You got anything else to add, Dan?
No, man, I think I'm good too.
All right. Well, just remember, follow us on all social medias at Gas is on the Right podcast. You can also check our link tree through the link in the description, and you can find us all through there. And make sure to tune in once we come back and join you after an off week at Post Iowa. We'll talk to you
Hey,
later.
do you want to